thousands of projects, such as the Event Experience Africa, TEXA, which is an annual conference geared towards equipping an ever-growing audience of event entrepreneurs with the right tools needed to thrive in the industry, with the maiden edition of over 600 participants from different parts of Africa. A round of applause for her, please. She's highly regarded as an influencer and a speaker who seeks to impact lives. She has spoken at various seminars, workshops, and conferences within Africa and globally. Regarded as one of the top 3 wedding planners in Africa, recently appointed a member of advisory board for the Destination Wedding Planner Congress. She was also hosted in 2016 by the King of Dubai for being one of the top 10 event planners on contribution to the Nigerian event industry. She was included in the BBC 100 Most Inspirational Women in the World, and at the time there were only 2 of them. She has also been featured in several local and international media platforms such as Forbes Women Africa, CNN Inside Africa, amongst others. She has bagged several entrepreneurship and merit awards, both locally and internationally, for outstanding contribution to the events industry. She has won awards for the Wedding Planner of the Year. She's a member of the Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers of Nigeria, an associate member of Women in Management and Business, WIMBIZ, a member of International Life Events Association, and alumnus of Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-African University. She holds an LLB degree in law from the University of Lagos and a BA from Abuja Law School, where she briefly practiced law. Did you know that? A round of applause for her, please. I know she's on stage, but please, with a standing ovation, a loud welcome. Please welcome the phenomenal, the inspiring, the trailblazing event industry powerhouse, Mrs. Funke Bokno. A round of applause for her, please. And to moderate this panel session will be our very own Queen of Impact, Project Manager Extraordinary, One Woman Battalion, and the co-convener of this trailblazing event, Miss Victory Ogene Ovo. A round of applause for her, please.
So this is our first panel session, and we have two amazing panelists. Please, can I get a mic here? We have two amazing panelists. They are experts in different fields. And the idea behind this panel session is so we can attend to different project management across different industries. We've listened to their bio, and you know that, yes, we actually brought really heavy people, to this event. So I'll be starting with Ms. Omojo. Okay, so we know for tech projects, how many of us are in the tech industry here? IT project management. Please let me see your hand. How many of us want to go into the IT project management industry? Okay, all right, we have a lot. So in tech projects involving cross-functional teams, how do you foster collaboration and communication to ensure everyone is aligned towards project goals? So how do you ensure that everybody works together to get to the project goal?
Okay, thank you for that question. And that's a really interesting one. So when you're in a tech company as a project manager, IT project manager, you'd always have to collaborate and work with other people. You don't have to work in silos, or you wouldn't regarding a project. So when we say cross-functional team, what that means is bringing different people of different functional areas together to work on a goal. Now, you as a project manager have to, first of all, clearly define the objective, which is what do we want to achieve, really. And when you have that written down, however unrefined or however it is, and having the goal in mind, which is what do we want to achieve. And most times when you look at what you want to do within the company, it kind of make it obvious on who you need to collaborate with. So for example, while I was at OPE, I was working on a savings product. And so the first thing I need to understand, of course, I need to get some knowledge from the finance team, because this has to do with money. There will be interest rates, etc. I would need some insights from maybe the legal team, because OPE is a mobile money operator. Like, are we allowed to do savings and all of those, and where can we have those products and where can't we? Now, going back, just using that example, you may need people from finance, from support, from legal, from different teams within your organization, and sometimes it can be outside your organization. So that said, and moving on quickly so I can answer the question, to collaborate effectively means you need to be aligned on what you need to do, and knowing that each person has his or her role to play in this cross-functional team. Now, in the industry, in the time where we are today, is in a time where there is hybrid work or remote work, as we say. Before then, you gather everyone in a room where you can discuss, this is what we want to achieve to gain alignment. Alignment means where all of you are agreed on what you want to do. And that's where you get questions from the other teams, or you get to ask them questions as well. So to foster collaboration, one, have a working document where you have your objective clearly written, the team where you need to collaborate with, and their role, right? And make this document accessible. There's cloud today. Make it shareable where anybody can view that document. Now, it's good to also have a one-on-one touch with who you are collaborating with, right? So that you break down any silos and get to know the person more and understand their motivations. Really, by collaborating with this person, how would he make this person look even in his or her department, or what other goal as well would the person achieve by collaborating with me? So making the document accessible, shareable is great. To also foster collaboration, if it's in a hybrid team and you're having a meeting, make sure that whoever is not in the room is invited to the meeting, and you give them an opportunity to speak and contribute their own quota. Like, doing this is improving your communication skills, where you also share what needs to be done. Now, when you understand the role that each person plays, and you make that very clear in your communication, and the project kicks off, for example, you need to monitor progress. Monitoring progress is understanding that the deliverable from the first person is A, B, C, and D, and from the other person is something else. And being able to know where you are, because project has to do with timelines, and you need to understand where each person is in the work. So that's being able to monitor the progress. Now, when you do what I've said from the beginning, which is understanding your objective, knowing the people that are involved, getting to know them, understand what their role is, you know what the goal is that you want to achieve, and you monitor progress. You make your meetings inclusive of both people in the room and those joining virtually, where you make everybody's voices heard, and you put your documents in a way that anyone can access them, so there's transparency and everyone's voice is heard. That way, you'd be able to work well with people of different cross-functional team. And when you have everyone working with you in your corner, it's just like what Ogenova said when in her opening speech, when she said most times people remember how you made them feel. That has a touch in collaborating and working with other people. So with this very lengthy response, I hope that you've been able to pick something on how to collaborate with people, communicate, and make every one of your team members feel inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really an explicit explanation. So moving on to our event power hours. When it comes to events, we know that there are a lot of unexpected challenges. Like you get to a particular point, you plan this, and then something else comes in and all of that. So how do you handle these unexpected changes to make sure that it doesn't impact, the events you're managing?
All right, thank you very much. Sorry. No, fine. Thank you. So, unexpected challenges. There will always be challenges, right? We know that. So I think that what is very important is to overplan. I always tell my team that you have to anticipate everything. Anticipate what can go wrong. You're not trying to be negative, but you're just trying to imagine if this goes wrong, what is plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. There must always be a crisis plan. There must always be a risk management plan. But there's a lot of times challenges that are usually beyond your control. And what do you do? So, for example, I like to look at the Lagos factor of Nigeria. I always tell even my colleagues abroad that there's a challenge that's peculiar to every country. So they're international, they have challenges. In Nigeria, we have challenges of power. We have challenges of traffic, unexpected traffic. We have challenges of trailers falling on the road and you just don't know how it happened. We have challenges of internet, Wi-Fi not working. So there's just so many challenges that you would face when you're planning an event. But it's important that you see, you talked about the goal, the outcome, the future, blah, blah, blah. It's important to see the end goal. It's important to understand what one challenge that you don't correct can affect the other parts of the event and can create chaos. So how do you avoid chaos and how do you manage this? One way is always, as I said, anticipate the problem, find different possible solutions, and ensure that you are solving the problem as quickly as possible. Stay calm. You must be calm. Of course, it's easier said than done. It's not every time. Sometimes I'll just go to a corner and go and scream to the air. Then I can come back and I'll start thinking. But it's important to think logically and say, what can we do? What is the solution? Let me give you an example. I did an event 2 days ago, and the DJ was playing, and all of a sudden, something was burning. There was a fire. To God be the glory. We had, of course, fire extinguishers and stuff like that, but the DJ couldn't play. But what did we do? And that's where you also need a team of people that are willing to also quickly offer a solution, not the people that will be making sure that it cannot work. Everybody was able to think on their feet. The engineers, the technicians, they saw the problem. We were able to get somebody else who was also flexible enough to quickly help us with another cable. We fixed it and the party continued. But there was no music for 10 minutes. But we assured every guest, please just wait, we're trying to solve the problem. So challenges will come. And one of the things you also said is unexpected. Because there's some that you can even anticipate, but when it's unexpected, we've had an event before. We had 3 generators, and the 3 generators weren't working. They didn't work. I thought this one is village people, but we still got somebody else to bring another generator. So it's important to have good resource people, good people that you can call on. That's why interpersonal skills, people management, all that is very, very critical in project management. Because you can have you can plug everything in, but you are dealing with people. You are dealing with people. It's about people. People are the ones that will make it work. People are the ones, even on your project site, you are building. It's people that will bring the material. So you also need to make sure that people can deliver. So I think that those are some of the ways I've been able to manage unexpected challenges.
Thank you so much, man. To add to that, people should read very much on Risco. Because this thing that she just said, 3 generator not working. At that point, you can just faint. Like, what will you do? There's literally nothing. You just be there. So if you are not very proactive, or you have team members that are really proactive, the problem will just linger. Instead of you should just think of solution, you'll be there crying, and then it should just be there. Moving on to our IT project manager. So we know that the tech trend changes over time. So how do you stay up to date with tech trends, and how do they affect your project management strategies?
Okay. All right. I think this is a very important question, especially when we look in hindsight of some companies that have closed shop because other companies moved ahead. So I would say, as project managers, as you bury your head in execution, you really need to be aware of the trends that are happening in your environment and be flexible to know what's happening. I mean, she said, we work in a very peculiar industry. I've worked on a product before that, I was excited towards the launch, and one morning, we just saw that we couldn't go ahead. Why? A regulation came up that kind of cut that product short, and other products had to move on. And maybe that's aside. But the point here is you need to know what's happening around you. So one thing I would say is subscribe to some tech news. We have TechCrunch today. You can write that down. We have Tech Cabal. You can write that down. We have Tech Point. We have Diverge, right? And Twitter is a very interesting place. I don't know how many of you are on Twitter, but Twitter is a great place to follow people. There is Tech Twitter today. When you follow a couple of people in tech, you would you get to see what they share real time, and you can leverage on those information for information's sake, and also you may be able to, translate them. For instance, we're in the era of AI, right? I'm sure ChatGPT is not a new word to anybody in the house today. On Twitter, I've seen what happened in OpenAI, over the last 1 year. Now, things like this change the dynamics of some business. It changes how they operate today. So questions you'll be asking yourself as project managers as you subscribe and read is, how does this really translate to what we are doing? How does this translate to the mission, to the plan of the company, the project, or what I'm working on? I don't know if you understand.
And just look for, I think what it is to look for in every single area of what you're doing, what can make you more efficient. I think that's what we must always think about. So in terms of, payment, what will make me more efficient? Communication with the client, what will make us more efficient? Layout of a floor of a space management, what will make us more efficient and make it faster? So that's things that we need to constantly think about and ensure that we're doing in the events industry.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Thank you. So, ma'am Omojo, the next question would be, when managing projects, you handle different stakeholders from the finance team, the product owner, different stakeholders. So how do you, please, this question is very important, very, very important for project managers. So how do you ensure that you communicate effectively to each of the stakeholders, making sure that every single one of them understand what they are meant to understand at the time they are meant to understand, so that one person will not come and say, you said this thing and I didn't really get what you meant. So how are you able to effectively communicate with each stakeholder to make sure that all of them, align to deliver?
Okay, thank you. This is also, I mean, all the questions are really important. When you work on projects, you have stakeholders. Even as a project manager, you may have multiple stakeholders if you're handling more than one project at once. Now, typically, as a project manager, you may report to head of projects, head of products. Your head of product also has a boss, and there are other stakeholders. Everybody wants you to move their project forward. Now, how do you manage all of this? How do you communicate? Okay, we've kind of broken this down from when we started talking, when we said when you have a project, state clear objective, work with people. There's also a side to it, which is communicating that progress to your stakeholders. So if I have a stakeholder, let's say, I'll use an example from when I was in Tangerine. Before now, insurance, the company that was taking over had a lot of paper insurance. That's the way people subscribe to their insurance. And what I had to do was digitize that process of taking insurance from the manual. And when I checked a lot of things, for instance, the forms were almost 15. I'm like, how do people feel? People will feel bored if they are trying to do this online. Now, the head of that department is curious to have that project on. And most times, that's not the only thing I'm working on. I'm also working on banking as well in order to build a banking app from scratch, right? And so I have someone else who is saying, what's the updates? Now, as a team, you must decide on the projects that you are taking on, for example, and communicate clearly that this is what we can do, and this is the scope. You must communicate the scope, so they don't ask you for something that is outside the scope. And when requirements comes that outside the scope, you must also document it and say, I told you this would take XYZ days or XYZ resources. If you need to add this now, maybe we'll put it in version 2 or not. But it's really your soft skills that will come to play here when managing stakeholders, because it has to do with communication, with managing people, and some of your stakeholders may not be friendly. Like, they would not be, some of them will not be friendly, and you need to find a way to find the soft spot in progressing. Now, managing stakeholders, also, I like to add this, also has to do with when to say no. You don't say yes, yes, yes to everything. So, for example, if you have a resources that cannot handle more within a specific period, saying no is just not like saying no. We say, if we have more resources, we may be able to take on this at this time. Clear communication, written communication, and we have taken off a project. Sharing, progress is also very good. In an agile team, there's something called demo. Demo is where you kind of say, this is where we are and what we are doing. I find demos to be very good in managing stakeholders. And so I try to invite my key stakeholders to my demo, even though we've not really completed everything. But they can see what the progress is for a tech product, right? When they see it, they're happy, right? I'm happy, okay, when can you complete this or when can you do this? It kind of gives them an assurance that you're working on their product or their project and is progressing to the next level. So your soft skills will come in, how to manage difficult people, how to communicate constraints, how to show progress, and so if you go this way, it would help you in managing stakeholders, and being able to know who your stakeholders are from the beginning would help you in communicating all these thoughts to them.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for that answer. Thank you so much. Now, this next question is basically the question, is one of my most asked questions in my entire project management career. Some of my students are here and they've asked me, every single one of them have asked me this question. So how do you, would you advise project managers generally on pricing? How should they price? How should they set their price? No, it's your question. It's your question, yes. So how would you advise project managers to set price, fee, whatever? So what should they put in consideration? What should they consider when billing clients? So what are the things they should consider when setting their price?
Okay, so because, of course, as we know, it's a service. Service is something that people don't understand, and they kind of feel like, why should you charge a certain amount for service? Because they can't see it as a product. So you have to, first of all, see what you do as a product. I think that's what I've had to do. And I learned this over the years. It's not like I learned it immediately, because I also didn't see what we were doing as a product. I don't know if you get, I couldn't even value it well. But then by the time I started sitting down and I started thinking, I was like, you spend time. How do you value your time? How do you bill your time? What is time to you? So you need to first, of course, to me, that's the first thing. Time. Because people just think, you're just, well, let me take it from my own aspect. You're just managing people and vendors. What is the big deal in that? And I'm thinking to myself, no, you are spending time. You're spending resources, manpower, to just even make sure that all the balls are not dropped. So you're juggling that. So I would say, how do you value your time? And another thing is this. There are different stages of charging. Everybody cannot charge. You can't charge the same way at different levels. So you have to understand where you are, at the level where you are, and where you want to be and where you are going. So someone that is a beginner, let me just say it, maybe a beginner, you're a learner, you're just starting, the way you will charge is going to be different from the ways with someone that has more experience, that has maybe reached the level where they are they're like experts, or they're major consultants. So you have to understand that there's time, there's experience, there's what you are bringing to the table, the value. Then you also need to think about all the things that you will spend money on. What are you going to spend money on? Your internet, your calls, your transportation, all the things you spend money on. Look at your expenses, right? So let's take it as an example. Everything is, maybe let's say in a month, you are going to pay rent. I mean, let's break it down, to that level. Pay rent, buy fuel for your car. If you don't have a car, transportation to move from A to B, maintain this, internet, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll probably be paying a team. Look at it and say, this is costing 300,000 a month already. This is minus your time. So you have not even put in your time. If you were going to work somewhere, if I was going to come and work in your organization, how much would they pay me? For example. So you take all that, and then you put it, and then you can divide it. And then that's the way you'll be able to know. So maybe you divide it, let's say it's 300K per month for all these expenses. And let's say your time, you want to say that every hour I will charge, let me just say 300,000. That is, that. You calculate that and say, okay, to work on this project, it's like the way lawyers bill. To work on this project, it's going to take me 4 months. In those 4 months, I must be able to maintain my bill. I must be able to pay this every month. I must be able to do this. And then you can now calculate. So it's something that I can't really give you a formula, but I can give you an idea of how to get there. Do you understand what I mean? But you have to determine the value that you bring to the table. What is your time worth? Let me tell you, even me that I'm sitting here, sometimes I'm shy to charge for my time. I'm actually shy. I'm like, will they pay? Oh my God, is it not too much? I'm feeling, that means that I'm not even confident in what I'm bringing to the table. So you need to be confident as well of who you are, of what you are bringing, what value you are bringing to the table, and then you'll be able to charge your worth. But be ready for pushback. Be ready for people that maybe do not understand. People that will say things like, what is it? Is it not just? And then, of course, you can educate. So that's why I'm very big on education, because we need to educate our clients, educate people, and just educate our customers, because they don't understand. But yeah, so I would say, but understand that you are at different levels at different times. When I started 20-something years ago, I almost wasn't charging any amount. I was just ready to help them manage their project. As time went on, I was able to command certain fees and certain figures. Even when I did a cost analysis with an accountant, they said we were not even charging enough. And I thought, this is, how will people pay this? But guess what? When we raise our fees, people still paid. So I thought, what were we doing all this while? So don't be afraid to charge. But let me also tell you another one. Understand your environment. Understand. I tell my colleagues in the industry, a planner in Delta State cannot charge what a planner in Lagos State is charging. Not that it's not possible, but understand the environment. What is the purchasing power? How many people even understand what a project manager is in those areas, in some areas? So that's what I mean by understand your environment. Also, you elevate the environment to meet your standard, then you can now begin to charge what the environment dictates. You want to add something? Yes. So do you understand what I mean? So I think that is, but I'll allow her to finish.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so for me, I would just like to add for tech products. So if you have something, if you're not building something new, it means that, you have competitors. So for an IT project, you want to do something that is called a competition analysis. And somehow pricing strategy is part of it, which means that for everyone else who is offering the service that you're offering, what are they charging today? One common one is loan, for example. For people who have like a loan product, we have Fair Money, we have Carbon, there are just a lot of them, right? And for those kind of people, pricing is just their differentiator, maybe apart from how they do their selection on who to give loans to. For those kind of projects, because it's not new, because other people are doing that, because customers look at those kind of metrics or fees in order to adopt your product, you may want to find maybe a balance in between. And then there are some other projects that, will I say, for example, if I'm building a car service today, to say I want you to know the mechanic close to you, some other people use the concept of a freemium first, such that when you gain trust in their product, you can now go further to subscribe, like Canva today. If you've designed your logo or whatever on Canva, Canva operates on that freemium basis. Then when you decide to use their no-code tools to build a website for yourself, for example, they may ask you to subscribe. They're telling you they'll do that for free, they'll host your domain name for free, etc. But when you've used it for a while, the concept is that they will use that to draw you in, and then you can now use them or subscribe to them. So, I also wanted to just add that concept as well.
All right, thank you so much. So, Ma'am Owanjo came from the angle of product owner. So, IT project managers, the ideas to give to, your product owners when you're working on pricing. And if you have issues with pricing, I think after this session, you're good to go. So, lastly, I'd like you to just, in 1 minute, to just give those that are aspiring to come into the IT project management space, those that are aspiring to come into the event, space, what advice would you give them to help them start their career and scale their career as well? So anyone can go first.
Okay. All right. One, when you start, I would say be humble and be very open to learning. Learning, I read something that said maybe learning at the end of the day would be your best competitive advantage, which means how much you're able to just grasp, how much you're able to just learn on the go. You can't take away the place of experience, which means that as you learn, for example, if you get an opportunity to intern or you get an opportunity to begin working, you must learn some concept. What are the keywords or the buzzwords in project management to say today? Do you know what work breakdown structure is? Do you know what, a risk management matrix is? You just, continue to learn and see how you can apply that to your work. If you are starting out as a project manager yourself or if you're working somewhere. Another one is, trainings like this, mixers that we're having today. It's an opportunity to hear from industry leaders. They may drop one or two things and an opportunity for you to network. Another thing is mentorship. It's good to find a mentor. Not everybody are fortunate to get someone who can mentor them. But today, I really emphasize on Twitter because there are some people who just make it a point of duty to drop their lines of thoughts on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on some of all these other publications like Medium, right? And it's good for you to subscribe to them and then also learn from them. Another thing is the people you see as you work. It's good for you to bring your best self to work and your positive attitude to work, because the way you will scale may be dependent on those relationships that you've made. And I'll use myself as an example. While I was at GT Bank, I think I went to Opay to sell one of my digital products that would have been good for them as a startup. I don't know whatever impression that I made, but the head of product there called me some months later to say, I'm hiring a new product manager. Would you like to join? And somehow, I still think to today, what was it I said? What was it I did? Now, aside that, when I joined 2 years down the line, some other company called me and said, somebody you worked with before recommended you and said you'd be very good for this role. It was just, what kind of interview happened? It was just a culture fit interview that happened. Like, there were no question as regard, can I do the job or whatever. It's just culture fit and a discussion with HR. And then from there, someone else who had worked with a developer who started working in Microsoft, there was an opening in his role, and then he says, he called me. When I joined, he was so happy. He posted on Twitter, I think, oh, the best product manager I've worked with, I joined my team and all of that. So it's in bringing your best self to work. Somehow, you may not know how things would be, or you may not have things already planned out for the next 5 years, but your dedication to your work, your interaction with your colleagues, and bringing, well, I would still say your best self to work can help pave the way for you. Also, there are also opportunities that you can, check out online. But these are, will I say, easy tips on how to navigate and scale in your industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay. I think she's kind of said it all, really, about what to do when you're starting out, or even in the middle of where you are, just, or even being able to just even sustain. It's important that I let you all know that, even if I've been doing this for 22 years, I still love it. But I definitely know that even at the very beginning, it was not easy. It's still not very easy. But so it's just important to know that, and she said something, said, be very good at what you do. Be very good at what you do. Do it with excellence. I think that there's a lot of mediocrity. Like, give everything your best. Don't do things haphazardly. don't do it just because. Once you have committed to something, give it everything you have. Even if, whatever, no matter how much you have now charged for it, give it everything you have. That's one thing I'll add. Another thing I will add is consistency. And consistency also comes from dedication. It comes from being very resilient. It comes from being tenacious. It comes from just doing something well over time. Be known for something and stand for something. You know, right now, everybody wants to do everything or be everything. Or everyone thinks that, oh, time is going, or I've not yet arrived. I want to tell everyone that you just need to be patient. Use the opportunity you have to build your craft. Use the opportunity you have to be the best. I'm saying this because being good comes with many challenges, but you have to be so good that people will look for you. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. I was just explaining, you can hear my voice, right? And I have an amazing team, great team. But what it is clients just, I don't even go for all our events, but there are times I go and I charge clients premium for me to be at your event. Now, I wasn't doing that before, I was shy, but now it's premium. But what it is that people see the value we bring, people see how dedicated we are, our team, and everybody on the team is a star. Everyone on the team, I'm telling you that they are stars, meaning that they are all empowered. Don't be afraid to let your team members shine. Don't be afraid to build and train your team members. Let me tell you what I'm talking about, the team. You can't do it by yourself. So you need people. So how do you ensure that people, do it to the level that you are also doing it? You need to build them. You need to empower them. You need to train them. You need to ensure that you are all on the same level. Let me tell you why I'm saying it. Because you see, clients, okay, maybe because I deal with a lot of influential clients, that when you walk into a room, they look at even the people that work with you and want to see whether, do they look like boy, or are they like, so all my team members, we dress well, oh. When you see them, you see me. You see me, you see them. I don't know if you understand what I mean. I'm just talking about that. There are many things, but I'm just saying train them, empower them, teach them, guide them. Mistakes will happen. Delegate. It's important that you also delegate. Delegation, let me tell you, there's a risk. Things will go wrong. Are we not human beings? We make mistakes. What do you do? How do you correct? So it takes me to failures. You will fail. You will fail. You will fail at different points. But what do you do? How do you come out of your failure? How do you build yourself out of that? What are the things that you learn in the times that you failed? When she talked about some of these tech companies folding up, or maybe things going wrong, finding out why things happen. But how can we mitigate it in the future? What can we do better? What have I learned from this? Instead of burying our heads in the sand, we must be strong. There's a lot of us people are not being as strong, and I know that Nigeria is dealing with us. But guess what? As long as we're alive, we're all going to make it. That's my own theory. So we must build capacity. Build capacity and learn to say no when you can't deliver. Don't take on more than you can chew. We all want to do it. We all want everybody. No. Sometimes you have to say, I can't do this. I can't take on this project. If we do it, we'll fail. Oh, we don't know how to do it. Learn to also collaborate. We do events, we do projects where we bring in other event project managers to work with us, because we are not great maybe in a certain aspect for that project. So maybe the client needs something that we don't readily have, or we don't have the expertise, or we don't have the tools. So no, that's why, I keep on talking about people shining. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because, sorry, I'm going philosophical, but we all bring something unique to the table, and nobody can take what you bring to the table. So that's why you must build yourself. She talked about learning. Stay humble, stay hungry. As I did here, so I'm still very hungry. I'm hungry. I dey find work. I'm hungry. Stay humble, stay hungry. And do not think that you are all that. You are all that. Let's be confident. But please, let's learn to be, what's the word? I don't even know the word. But just stay humble, stay hungry. So that's what I'll add. Thank you.
Wow. Please, a round of applause for both our panelists. At this point, I think it's safe for us to play Premium or Nothing, because it's just premium value we've brought. And this is just the first panel session. Imagine what the other panel sessions is going to be. So at this point, we are going to call it a wrap. So thank you so much for an amazing time with us. Dr. Ayo, please, can you come on stage? Okay.